Hello everyone, welcome back indeed. If this is your first session, welcome. If it's not, you have obviously loved Nick Bagnall and his passion for Joe Orton, which is just sensational. And we've actually now planned, we're going to do like an entire half day with him, with actors on here, because it's just too much. The man's too much. You can't just give him 60 minutes. So we're going to do that. And then the MT Nerd Out, that was awesome, with the wonderful Jordan Lee. As you all know, subscribers here, if you have questions, please put them in the comments box. If you're watching and you're not a subscriber, shame on you. You should subscribe so you can chat to us here today. Also, I just want to announce on the 31st of August, we will be taking off that incredible offer that we have, the partnership with backstage.com. So if you're a subscriber, you can go to the community section. In there, you'll find that link, and that will give you access to a special CCI link, which gives you 12 months free access to create a profile on backstage.com. It's only if you're in the UK, and it's only if you haven't already subscribed to that. So there we go. So let's get on with it. Without further ado, let's bring in the wonderful Suzanne Smith here. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, good. Hope everybody's well in this strange times.
Oh, indeed, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us.
Not at all.
Now, where are you? Are you in the UK? Are you in London?
I'm in London. I'm in my flat in West Hampstead, which I only just moved into during lockdown, actually.
Fantastic. So, Rosie and I used to live in West Hampstead, actually. Yeah, we lived there for a while. We loved it. Absolutely loved West Hampstead. Yeah,
I got a garden, so it's fantastic at the moment.
And did your garden get torn down by Storm Francis? The wind was ridiculous. It was all right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, look, we're going to chat to you about your career. So thank you so much for joining us here. Let's just kick it all off. Why casting? You know, people always ask us this question. What was your process into it? Were you an actor? How did you start?
I went to Middlesex to study drama, to teach, but I never taught. I didn't feel that I could give much from school to university and then going to school again. But I didn't know what to do, and I loved acting. I loved films, theatre. And I did my own little journey like you do. You know, I worked for a theatre company that put on sort of theatrical nights, like the sort of Cockney night, a Scottish night. Went to Australia, managed a post-production film house. Don't know how I did that, just walked into a job. And then I came back, and a friend of mine who'd been at the Royal Shakespeare Company, she was casting there, and she introduced me to a lady called Rose Tobias Shaw, who, she's no longer with us. She was American, and married an Englishman, and lived here in London, and was casting a lot of American miniseries. And she introduced me to Rose, and I became Rose's assistant, and I worked with Rose for 5 years on all sorts of different things, and it was very exciting. Then I then got into theatre. Actually, I worked a little bit at the National Theatre, and also did sort of putting people on tape for a few American shows, and also got into casting musicals, which was interesting.
Which ones did you do? Which
I did Crazy for You.
Right.
I found John Barrowman in Scotland in an open audition.
Wow.
Robert Fox asked me to go around the country looking, there was a group of us, and we had such great fun. And I also did Carousel for Nick Heitner at the National Theatre.
Fantastic. That was an amazing production, that was.
And then I came sort of full circle, sort of got back into television. And what I was doing with Rose, started working on a lot of American shows.
It's so interesting. I love that. I love that there's. I actually have a question. It's something I saw the other day, and I'll ask you about this later. It's not specifically industry related, but it's just sort of life related. But I'll come on to that in a second. But so, I mean, before we go into, like, I mean, you have done, like, I think you've worked on over 70 movies. Is that right? Is that figure right?
That's now we got to. There's an American Suzanne Smith and there's me. So I've worked on a lot more television shows than I have movies. So right. Good Omens, Band of Brothers, you know, sort of all those, which now, you know, I think that sort of television, we are in the golden age of television, and it's really, and the big movie stars are leading their own shows, which
is incredible. I mean, Band of Brothers, that alone, that casting, that, like, when you go back, we went back and started that weirdly recently. We were like, oh, let's watch this again. You know, we're loving lockdown TV series, and then when you, like, I haven't seen it for years, and you go back and watch that, and then you see that lineup. And the guys that you've cast in there, you're just like, this is unbelievable. How is that? Like, because most of them were pretty unknown back then when you did that, but now they're all big names, stars in their own right. So, like, talk through that process.
Well, I think it's probably the first. It was all shot here in England, in Hatfield, in the Air Force Base. There, we used all the hangars. So really, it was an unknown because they wanted British actors to play American, and they were a little bit hesitant. You know, will there be enough actors who can do an American accent? Of course, we had, you know, very good voice coaches. And that, I think that was the start of the wave of Brits playing Americans, because before, I think a few had, but it wasn't, nobody really looked at so many actors. And we cast, you know, hundreds of actors. And I think a lot of Americans would not know that Damian Lewis was not an American.
No, I agree. I think it was that. I think it's shows like that literally suddenly British actors started taking over Hollywood, didn't they, and playing Americans in that. So, like, you know, was it just? It must have been really exciting to find. I mean, all those guys in that now. You know. There must be a sort of sense of, I mean, it's a thing with casting directors, you know, we kind of sit in the background, and, you know, you turn up to the opening night of something and people go, oh hi, who are you? And oh, don't worry about me, we just found you, you know, do you remember? Because the actors forget, like, the 6 months before or whenever and all that kind of stuff. But we always sort of watch careers, you know, where we've had maybe influence on people and we've found them, put them in productions and whatever it is. That there is a sense of kind of pride that, you know, about that. You must look at that cast and think, wow, look at that. Isn't that incredible?
Yes,
you know, it launched careers.
But it did. But, you know, at the time, when you're casting a show, you don't think of the future and how it will be looked upon. You're just, as you know, you're casting there at the moment and having to, you know, find somebody that fits in, that looks different, looks period. And, you know, us British actors, well, you know, a lot of us Brits who don't have perfect teeth and are period. And it was very, very exciting because it was like 10 different movies. You know, every hour was a movie, basically. So it was very exciting.
So what's the process we get asked when we do these? A lot of people ask these questions. And by the way, people that are joining, if you're a subscriber, you can ask us questions. Go to the comments. Please don't wait to the end because there can be a delay before we get those questions. But a lot of the time on these sessions, we have asked actors ask the difference between casting live performance and TV and film, and again, because you've done the both, do you find there is a vast difference in that? I mean, casting a musical and casting a play and casting a musical, it's mad, isn't it? The amount.
Yes, yeah. In a musical, you have to be a triple threat normally, sort of act, sing, and move. Yes, I mean, there is a big difference because, if you're owning the stage, you have to know how to do that and also project your voice. And for film or television, it's that engaging and more intimate style. So you have to make it everything, whether it's theatre or if it is film and television, you have to make it sort of believable, that you really believe the character that you're portraying. Do you? And that is, and also sort of for theatre, if you are doing an audition, you do have to learn your lines. We like our actors when they come in, and we are putting them on tape, to be off book, because it just helps with the flow. And I know, every casting director is different, and every casting director will give different advice. I am very lucky. I have a team. We've just started working again. And that is good to know for everybody out there, that yes, it will take longer than you think. One of my films that I'm working on, that's been pushed to next year, and that does happen. A TV show at the moment we started filming last Friday. And there will be more. I mean, if you think also that more studios are being built at the moment, Elstree, Sky are building one in Elstree, one in Ashford. I think, and all over the place, there's a couple more as well that I know of that are going to be built. Or Dagenham. So that bodes well for the future. I mean, and just be patient about theatre. We will, come back, and there's one-off shows, and people are sort of doing the most that they can, and you just have to believe it will come back, which I do. Definitely.
And I think that thing you were saying earlier, like with regards to the focus of kind of how it feels, different wise. We always say that. I reckon 95% casting directors will all say the same thing on 95% of everything, and then there's like that 5% of how they like things done. And I think it's a really good point. When you come into a studio and you're auditioning for a play, a piece like that, I think the direction can be very much, it's live. So if you've got a script in hand, we always say, look, it's not a memory test, hold the script, don't worry about it, because the visual is different. But definitely for screen work, we're always like, just do everything you can to get off book. And I think that, how do you feel about if somebody they're giving a great performance and they kind of go off script a little bit because maybe they can't remember it, but they stay within the same vein, but they're still giving you that focus? How do you feel with things like that?
Sometimes it works, other times it doesn't. I mean, I work on Outlander, which I've worked on all the series, and there is an actor who I won't name who had to come in 3 times because he didn't quite nail the scenes, and I kept bringing him back. He did get the role, and I just encouraged him to be more off book. Sometimes it doesn't matter. You don't, as long as you've got the right feel. If you go completely off book and completely make up words, and that the showrunner is the writer, sometimes they are. But if it's just a word here and there, don't get hung up about it, because that doesn't matter. It's how truthful you are, because that's what they're looking for, and people who are viewing will make up their mind pretty quickly if they like you or not. So my other sort of bit of advice is, when you get a scene, just also think not just about your role in it, but also think what they want to see.
Yeah,
definitely. Because that's the other thing, because that scene has been given for a purpose. So just sort of bear that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also people that we've chatted to, casting directors, about certain things, is that sometimes it's very different for like film and TV. In terms of script, TV can sometimes move a lot quicker, but also a director or a writer might see you and go, I've written this for you. We've extended the role, we've extended that part, we're extending this scene, and so to have that ability to get on top of script quite quickly, I think it's a really good skill just to keep practicing that, so that if you are thrown something, it doesn't throw you. I think that's quite a useful. It's just a useful skill, isn't it? It's, as an actor, to have.
And sometimes you don't know the context that you've. We try and give as much information as possible, but sometimes you get a page or a couple of pages of dialogue, and it's not even from the actual script, because it's say something a Marvel or something they want to keep secret. So. And you have to sign an NDA. So sometimes it doesn't make sense. And sometimes you can't give out the whole script. So always sort of try and get as much information as possible.
You can get a great sense from the director.
What the project is.
You can get a great sense from the director that's working on it as well. If you go back and look at their work and make sure that you are like, right, that's what they like to do. That's the kind of feel of their movies. That can really help, or TV shows. That can help enormously, can't it?
Yes, but you see, because I work on a lot of American things, is sometimes the director is not as important as the showrunner, the producer, and the network. So that's it doesn't give you then a sense of because the showrunner, who is a writer producer, has normally brought the show to the network, and so they then choose. Say you're doing 10 episodes or 8 episodes, and they're normally in blocks. So the producers then choose the director for each block, which is normally 2 episodes. So it's the and then it depends on how many producers you have. They all have a say, and the network also have a say. It's not as clear cut as sometimes people think, that the director has the. I mean, if you are Christopher Nolan, yes, you would have a big say. But, it doesn't always happen, and we do our best to help everyone. That's in my office.
We say a lot.
It's different now because we're not actually doing live auditions. So it's the auditions we're doing are self-tapes.
We say a lot that, for people to remember, we constantly say this, that the casting director is on your side, because we want to get you cast. We don't want to have to go again. We don't want the director to be unhappy, or the producer to be like, oh, is this it? We want you to come in and knock it out the park, and actually be successful. And I think that has been a big learning curve for people that have watched these sessions, to go, oh right, okay. And it is weird, because when I started out as an actor, and it wasn't that I thought they were against me, but there was always that kind of feeling of like, oh, it's so stressful, I'm in for this casting director. And I wish that when I graduated, someone said to me, casting directors are there for you. They are there to look after you in the audition. They want you to be great. Make sure you work hard for them. Make sure you turn up and know your staff, and they will be on your side. And that's a really big thing, right?
Oh yes, sort of often we have had people who've just come out of drama school, and who haven't had much camera training, because your training is really for theatre. So you've probably had a week or 2 weeks of sort of camera auditions, and so sometimes it is a learning curve for you. So I always encourage everyone to get together as a group. Cameras are cheap. Your phone, use everything that you've got to just feel comfortable in how you're going to sort of set everything up. And self-tapes, you know, just got to make sure that you have good lighting, that it's framed correctly, that, you know, we can see you basically. And it's a learning curve for a lot of people out of drama school, sort of, to how to feel real in a different kind of situation than actually sort of being on the stage, where you know that it's a different kind of connection, and it's sometimes false. It is so false on doing a self-tape, because you're not in the scene with the wind blowing, the muskets firing or whatever. It is a very sort of false scenario, and you have to make it real.
Absolutely. I'm going to go to some questions here.
I haven't seen any.
When a self-represented actor is applying for jobs via Spotlight Jobs Board, what should they write in the message to the casting director?
I would say, if you are applying to the Spotlight Jobs Board, only do it if you are right for it. I've done that before, where I've got everybody who is totally wrong for it in age or in description of the role, saying, you know, me. But so only do that if you are totally right for the role. And then in the jobs description, if it just says, you know, you were looking for a special skill, make sure that that skill is there, and that if they're asking for something that's very proficient, you know, sort of like horse riding, then just sort of say exactly what the height of your skill is. You know, sort of, I'm a champion snowboarder, or whatever, you know, that people are looking for. I hope that's answered your question.
Absolutely. I have an addition for that one, and it's one that we've been asked by agents before, in that, let's say you have you're a TV show like Outlander or the Band of Brothers type, so there's lots of, you know, roles that could be, inverted commas, similar. Do you know, how do you like agents to submit? Is it submit for one role, don't submit for all of them, or put that same actor in every role you think they're right for? What is it? Because I know what we like. What is it that you like?
We tend to be quite specific on what we want, so it's not. So really, only you know, if you're totally right, you know, we are looking for a 6'4" and above, don't say I'm 6 foot. You know, sort of, can I play the role? Because we've put that there for a reason. If we're looking for and I don't like putting people in sort of like a box age-wise, and it's, you know, some people are 25 but look 18, other people are 20 and they look, you know, more like late 20s. So I hate putting boxes. But no, don't. I think agents should be very careful. You get then quite fed up of seeing the same actors for every single role. You know, as an agent, you should be really choosy on what your client, what you put your client up for. And sometimes, you know, we do find that agents put up clients who are not available.
I think that's certainly how we
really annoying.
That's certainly how we like it. We say, listen, submit them for one role. We're going to read their CV. There's obviously stuff that we're privy to, or that things might change that we then aren't going to adjust, and we might look at someone and go, they're more right there. They've been put forward for Steve. They're actually Colin, because there's only so much. You put enough information in description. You know, we could write pages and pages, but and I've always said, leave that up to us. You know, that's kind of we'll look at them and go, oh, they've been put in for that role, but they're not that. Maybe they could be right for that, especially if we watch their show reel and so on. So I think putting in for every single role.
No, it doesn't work. And
yes, we lose track of what are they right for.
We do switch around. But also, I mean, between in my office and there's myself and 3 people, so we do know a lot of actors between us. So that is very good, and we very good at sort of sharing information. So because I know that I mean, unfortunately now we're not going to the theatre, but I think some of my staff go to do workshops and things, so they meet people. Yeah. And also we do look at show reels. So just so you know, on Spotlight, it's useful just to sort of get an essence of you.
Definitely. Michelle says, I have high functioning Asperger's. My agent knows, and I have mentioned it to the About Me section on Spotlight. How do you find disabled actors?
Great. So it's on Spotlight, yes. So, and there's quite a lot now of workshops that were happening before COVID that were taking place, and I think casting is very well aware, and I know in the theatre that is also being sort of sometimes the theatre is ahead of television, but we try to incorporate as much as possible, and Michelle, good luck to you.
I think that also we talk about the Spotlight pages or whichever whichever one that people are on, to make sure information is really put on there correctly, because we'll do a search, and if you haven't put the right information, if you haven't used those asterisks, if you haven't put your location, if you haven't done certain things, you won't come up in that search, and that can be very frustrating. And I did one recently for actors in Bristol, very specific in certain areas, and like 5 people came up. And when I actually, started chatting to agents, there are more than 5 people that haven't put their location. So things like that. So just make sure your details, I think, are really up to date.
Yeah, that's very relevant, because often the production will not travel you, so only want sort of local actors. And it's fine if you've got say a place to stay because you've got an aunt in Manchester, so you could be considered local, or sort of, I think, use every single option that you can. And it's just, unfortunately, there's not enough money sometimes in the budget to travel, put up and per diem, actors who are from out of the area.
Yeah, absolutely. Nina says, do you ever have the time for generals? And if so, should I ask my agent to contact you? Thank you.
We occasionally do generals, but mostly it is from actors from abroad that we don't know, or actors who've just come out of drama school. And that is, this year it's unfortunate because so many of the young actors who come out of drama school did not have their showcases.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have been talking to a few of them to encourage them. Yes, I will do generals for people out of drama school.
Excellent.
Just out of drama school.
Claire says, how much notice for TV appearances does Suzanne like? And is this a way to contact her by email address on the CDG? How much notice for TV?
What does that mean?
Claire, if you just kind of clarify what you mean by how much TV notice for TV appearances, and then we'll come back to it, if that's all right, Claire.
Yeah, because I mean, because if it's a period drama, you need to have something. You need to be costumed, so it's normally we cast as well in advance as we can, and also fantasy as well. Needs, because we did recently a Netflix show called Shadow and Bone, and we were flying people to Hungary. So it's and costuming always, they were special costumes, so it always takes them.
Absolutely. Christopher says, "Hi James and Suzanne, I'm sorting my show reel out and thinking about putting comedy and drama in separate reels. Also looking at adding timestamps at start of character type. Is this a good idea?"
I think you should put everything there, you know, sort of, I mean, on one reel, you can do sort of comedy beginning and then drama at the end, because people like to laugh. So I would put the comedy first.
I think timestamps are good.
I don't think that's relevant. Do you, James? Or?
I think, like, if you're wanting to reference, oh, here's my comedy, it starts here, and then drama. If you're thinking of keeping it, I would say definitely keep it on one reel. But if you wanted to make a definitive split, then yeah, you could put comedy 0 to 1 minute.
Or you just put a little, little sign saying that comedy and then drama.
Yeah, that's it. Fabulous. Madison, how to self-represent actors get in front of casting? How do self-represented actors get in front of casting directors? I've been told direct emails are good, which are personal. However, I don't know if they're paying off.
Right, Madison, I would always make sure you're doing research, because, you know, we're casting directors are busy. So, because we're, you know, auditioning people, we've got paperwork to do, we do deals. It's a multitude of multitasking that we do. So do your research in the sense that know that what the casting director is casting, and then reference how you could sort of be of use as an actor for that show. Because if we're looking at a teen drama, then we're looking at teenagers or people who could pass for teenagers. But if you were looking for something that is sort of fantasy, or you have a skill that would be useful, then, you know, make sure that you reference that skill.
I think that's a really good tip to say, you know, I think be really specific about what you're writing for, rather than, especially if you know it's a busy office, you know, where they're casting multiple things, to be specific, it really helps us. And remember, we do want to find you, but if it's just a general kind of email, you know, the number of reels and emails that we're dealing with, for us, everything gets read, but then you get filed and then looked at for when we come across it. But it's, yeah, try and be as specific as you can. Michelle, I can answer this one. There isn't a drop-down disability though, so it won't show up. There is a section that says within location, appearance, nationality, etc. It says disability, and there you can write in your disability, and we might just do a search on disabled actors, and then we can look through there and see the varying disabilities. So if we were looking for a wheelchair user, that would say there, or a deaf actor, or whatever, or, you know, if that's where we can look at that. So also with these things, with places like Spotlight and Backstage, they do want to hear from you. So if you're falling into the cracks and you're not feeling like it's working for you, write to them, say to them, listen, because we do as casting directors, we constantly write and say, this isn't working, can we improve this? So it's there for you to definitely do that, I'd say. Sarah says, do you think quality self-tapes are okay on Spotlight instead of a show reel? I'm returning after a long break, so no show reel. You helped cast me in an episode Judge John Deed years ago though. Thank you. So yeah, so
I'm not a fan of self-tapes. That's just me. Because they're often sort of just you doing a scene that I don't have a connection with. So but I do understand you coming back into the business after a break. I would recommend voice reels though for people who are really good, because that's very useful. And I have cast voices. It sort of on Good Omens, I had to find somebody who did who was French to do a authentic voiceover. So,
how do you feel like about not a camera, but like a monologue, just to show some sort of acting style?
That's not my cup of tea, but I mean, I understand if you need to show what you look like now as opposed to what you look like a while ago. I do understand that, and that means, you know, make sure that you do have a relevant photograph.
Yeah, fab. Aramide, I'm not sure how to say your name. Aramide 8. Hi Suzanne, does change of hair bother you if it's different from a headshot, but you can easily be reverted back? Does a potentially dramatic hair change throw you like that if temporary?
Sometimes, I mean, especially if you remember somebody with long hair and they've now got a very short sort of bob, it does sort of throw you, or and sometimes, you know, people, so I've got a green streak in my hair, you know that can be, you know, easily remedied. For guys, you know, yes, I know I've got nephews who've got receding hairlines, so they're all very conscious of what's going to happen. So, you know, guys, I suppose it's sort of shaving the head at certain times. James, you've got a nice head of hair, so yeah. But I mean, if you are, because sometimes, you know, for a role you have to shave your hair, sometimes you have to go purple, and that, you know, often happens, as long as, and sometimes people put in contracts, you know, hair to be put back to how it originally was.
Yeah.
And you have to be careful, because also if you're doing, say, one show after another, or you're shooting in the middle, this has happened to us, where suddenly you've got an actor, they want to return on a show, but they're also shooting another show, and they've got a dramatic hair change. It's very important for us to know, because it means that they've then got to think, well, we better wig him because the scenes aren't going to be consistent. Right. So it is. So let your agent know that you have sort of changed. Or recently we had one where sort of, can you check if the actor's still got a beard? You know, sort of, because that's another thing, you know, guys, you have moustaches, you have beards, and you shave them. So sometimes, you know, people, I remember one time putting a load of actors on tape for a show, and everyone came in with a beard, and I was going, oh my God. And then they were all doing sort of period plays. It was quite funny. I think
the point you said earlier was about do your research. So if you know that something is going to film in X, and you've gone and shaven your head, and you normally have shoulder length hair, and that's what the role requires, and maybe the production doesn't have wig budgets or whatever, you know, I would take that into consideration and say, think about that. But I think that something really important in any drastic change, that could be weight. You might put on weight, because that's absolutely great. You might lose a load of weight, great. You might change your hair, you might get tattoos. Just tell your agent. Just tell them. Let them let us know. That's all we ask for. Communication is just, it's so simple. But it's amazing how you leave your agent out of that, and they have no idea. And then they come in for the audition, we go, nice, yeah, good. The neck tattoo is perfect for the role now. And they're like, what? Yeah. And you've gone, and rightly so, you can do what you want, but just tell your agent so that they don't put you up for that period drama where there's no makeup cover and you've got, you know, whatever you have on your neck kind of thing. So I think Claire was saying, when you're in a show and you want to invite someone to watch you in it, what sort of notice period would you need? I think that's what she meant.
I mean, it's very much up to the network, because sometimes they're not sure, you know, when something's coming out. I mean, the thing about Netflix and Amazon, they do announce. And sometimes, you know, the BBC change dates. So it's always, I suppose, is I know a lot of actors try and sort of find out when they're doing ADR. Oh, so when's it coming up? But I know that Netflix and Amazon are very like to, and also Sony like to announce everything, so everything is kept quite secret.
And I think also, like, if you're wanting to, because she's written in here again, show invites to when theatre.
Theatre.
Yeah, I think also with that, it's like, it's really difficult. We often get invited to stuff and we'll reply and say, can you, and you know, maybe 3 months in advance, we'll say, can you please let us know closer to the date? Because stuff changes so quickly, and then we might get close to the date and go, sorry, we're already booked for that night. It's just kind of like, you know, I think you just have to I think it'll be different for every person.
Yes, and you know, and sometimes, unfortunately, it's sort of, you can't go outside of London because you're working. It's if you're working really hard and you've got also sort of, we have quite a lot of international calls. So sometimes we have to cancel theatre appointments, which I hate, because we have to do something at 7 o'clock, you know, and talk to people. So yeah, and I think theatre will be coming back very slowly. So, and we'll all be appreciative of it.
We'll all be dying to go.
Everybody will be going, I want to go to the theatre.
Yeah, exactly. Caroline says, hi, Suzanne, James. How many emails is too many before they really announce? 2.
I have the, Rose taught me 3. She always said everything. If you there was an actor who did, I always sort of said, there was an actor who did a really fantastic audition sort of for a show that we were working on, and he didn't get the role. And I said to Rose, and we tried, you know, with the director and with the producer and after the 3rd attempt, Rose said, that's it. After 3, don't. They're not going to listen. So I think that's your answer, 3.
I think that's a really good. I'm going to steal that.
You're going to steal the 3.
I'm stealing the 3.
But also make it relevant. Make it relevant, Caroline, to, you know, what we're casting, what you're being seen in. You know, if you are in a show, then that's a great way of sort of introducing yourself, to say, you know, I'm on ITV at 8 o'clock on Thursday. You know, I'm in, and what the name of the show is, and the name of the role, and I'm playing with, you know, Mark Strong or whoever, you know, sort of, that's a good way of introducing yourself, apart from just sending, you know, an email and here's my spotlight link.
Yeah, I think that is exactly the thing. Like, send 1 or 2 of those, you know, but it's, if you don't hear back, wait until you've in something, isn't it? That's the key. And I think, you know, every single casting director that's ever been on here and that you'll ever meet says, everything gets read. We read everything. And it's just that, you know, so know that that's the case, and we will watch everything. But if we're working on X, Y, and Z projects, that's all really our focus is on at that time. But certainly we keep everything, and we will then go back through and we file everything off. And, you know, it might be, you know, actors between age 20 and 30, and we'll go into that file and we'll look through and see who's around, if we, you know, have those times and stuff. But I think that's a great one, you know, more than 3, and it does become, without anything different, like, oh, I'm currently in the next Spielberg film, would you like to come? Great. Or I'm in a play or a musical or whatever. Great. That's relevant. But just writing the same email is kind of, yeah.
And I would always say be upbeat in emails. Always be upbeat, because, you know, we want to help you, and it's sort of, and if there is that sort of, you know, thing like, give me a job, it's sort of, it's not as warm and welcoming as sort of, I'm in this show, or
yeah, definitely. You've written again, Aramide, but you haven't said how to say your name. So I'm hoping I've said it correctly. Thanks for the input. Black women have potential to change their hair very quickly through wigging, braiding, etc. So thinking about self-tapes mainly. Well, I mean, there's the section on Spotlight, right, Suzanne, where you can have all different headshots.
Yes, I think that's really, really good. And
so you can show different types.
I think it's very important, you know, for black women also to have the right hairdressers on set, because that has been encountered. I have encountered that, and I find it quite, you know, there was one show, it was very disappointing where they didn't, and an actress was very unhappy, and I totally agreed with her, because it's different hairstyling.
Absolutely.
And also period. I mean, the thing is if you are doing, you know, period, your hair is going to be different as a black woman as to, you know, modern day. So that's also important. But I think having that spotlight where you can, I mean, don't go to town where you got like 12 photographs. It's like things, because that's not relevant. But if you have different looks.
I guess exactly. If you braid and if you have this style and this,
you have a wig,
yeah, exactly. Nina's asking, is your IMDb Pro up to date with what you're currently casting? I understand the relevance of being specific when writing to your office. Do you know, I'm still learning about IMDb.
Yeah, I don't always put everything up there, to be honest. And no, it's not up to date, because if I'm in the middle of casting sort of, and we're just doing lead roles, I don't put it up there until we're necessarily greenlit, if it's a film, or, you know, we are at the moment, you know, I've got 2 projects which I'm not sure where we're shooting. And I'm certainly not going to put them on IMDb until I know where we're shooting and we've started casting properly.
Right. Exactly. Great. Jessica, do you by any chance have advice on getting a UK agent? I know you're not an agent but a casting director. I am a recent drama graduate with an Australian agent and UK passport in the process.
Well, your Australian agent will know a lot of UK agents, because they do, because I deal with Australia quite a bit. So I would suggest you get your Australian agent to talk to UK agents.
Great idea. That's brilliant. And it's the same with UK to America or Australia to America.
Exactly.
You know, your agent will link you up with a Broadway agent or an LA agent or whatever it is. The other thing to do is to research actors as well and find out if certainly for theatre, if there's certain types of theatre that you want to do, you know, investigate who those actors who are working in that, the sort of work that you want to do, and then look into who their agent is and be like, well, actually they're great. You know, if your Australian agent doesn't have those connections, you know, that's the sort of career I want. And those agents, and you will see there will be certain agents that have actors in a lot of things that you think, oh, that's the sort of career I want, and you'll see there's a pattern of agent that will have their performers in those types of productions. And so I've always found that can be quite a useful way and tool to do it as well. But certainly, like Suzanne said, your Australian agent should
and your Australian agent, because there's enough UK casting directors and American casting directors who post on Showcast, which is the equivalent of Spotlight in Australia. So your Australian agent would have had emails from British casting directors. So that's the other way of if you're here, or if you're planning to come here, then your agent in Australia shouldn't get in touch with the casting directors that they have a relationship with here in the UK.
Great advice. Love that. Lana, hi Suzanne. How do I introduce myself for a self-tape? Should I talk about my training skills, etc., when everything is already on my CV, or do I talk more about my personal life?
No, don't talk about your personal life, because, you know, I love my cat. Or no. I mean, if you are really skilled, have really excellent fighting skills, which is important, you know, if you're doing, if, you know, we're doing sort of shows that need that, and that's sort of, it's very good, you know, if you've got judo skills. We have had, we've had actors who've showed off their skills, whether it's ice skating. Recently, we cast somebody who did ice skating. So if you have got something that is different, then certainly, you know, do a little video.
Love that. With regards to like actors coming in the room, this is something that we get asked a lot. What is it that, you know, how do you like, what do you like in an actor when they walk into the room? I know at the moment, not doing the live.
Nobody's walking in the room, yeah.
But what is it that you, you know, what sort of engagement is it that you like from an actor?
Well, we always ask sort of, do you have any questions? Because sometimes you do have a question on the what you've been given in a scene, or you don't understand a relationship. So, you know, we give that context to sort of help you. Or something else that I will say is that sometimes when you have got a scene and sometimes the writer has written angry in the middle of it, you know, sometimes ignore that if it doesn't quite fit with, because that's just a writer. It's not and it doesn't quite, if it's not truthful, then don't go for that. Yeah. Did I answer that question? I'm not sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think no, great. I think that it's such actors can, especially maybe first time, be so nervous, and it's about that engagement, you know. And often we'll watch an actor come in, and you know, we'll stop them before they're literally ready to go. They're like, oh, where do I stand? I just want to get in and get out. And we start talking to them. And I've had actors say, oh, what, you know, why do you guys talk to us? Why? And it's like, because I can see you're holding your breath. You're gonna pass out. And I want you to breathe. I want you to engage and relax. And I want you to feel like, oh, we're here for you. And we might say to you, how's your day been? Or what have you been up to? Or I see that you've worked with this, how's that? And, you know, and it is there to sort of, you know, relax you and make you feel kind of. I remember my first audition, screen audition. I was terrified, absolutely terrified, and I hadn't had any training in it. And I remember just coming in, standing on the spot, you know, in front of the camera, and the casting was really trying to talk to me. And I remember my mind just going, just shut up. I just want to get on with this and get out. And you know, but obviously they'd seen how nervous I was, and they were really trying to like let me breathe and break it down. And after about two, they called me in again. And after about two or so, they actually said to me, listen, just relax. We just want to chat. Like, okay, cool. Because it is terrifying, you know.
And you know, in my studio, I've got a big camera and proper backdrop and lighting. But also, you know, sometimes we can, if you want to stand, you can stand. If you want to sit, you can sit. Sometimes, if we're doing period, we make you stand as opposed to sit. Depending on what the role is, and sort of help you sort of get into the feel of it. And it is unnerving, and we do a couple of takes, so it's not sort of one take and you're out, you know, sort of, and give notes, and with, as we said before, we're there to help you, and it is very rewarding from our point of view as well as the actor, to see you grow, you know, sort of when you've seen somebody straight from drama school, and then, you know, they start sort of flying and learning, and it's very, very rewarding.
I love it. Emma says, thank you both for a great Q&A. What's the most memorable audition casting you've done? Anything that stood out with the project after auditioning?
Ooh. Sometimes you know when somebody, they are the role. And you're there reading, because I read with the actors, we normally read with the actors, and you're going, oh wow, you know, sort of you're reading with them and you're just thinking, don't fuck up, sort of in the reading, and you just get at the end of it, you're just going, oh my God. But obviously, you know, just you have to keep your excitement. So yes, that has happened, and it's really, and I don't want to name names because I don't think that is, you know, fair, because that's happened a few times to actors, or you've met somebody on Warrior Nun, my lead. I met her at a festival, and I said to her, "Can you tape for me in the next day?" Which she did, and she got the role.
Amazing. I love
you know
that.
Sometimes you know it's
It is wonderful when an actor comes in and you're there and you're sat there and they do something and you're just like, oh my gosh, please don't get anything else. Please be available for this.
Exactly. Do you like the material? Because that's the other thing, you know, not always you think somebody will be wonderful in the role, but they just don't connect with the part, or they've done a similar part before and they don't want to do the same thing. And that's something else that you have to explain sometimes to directors and producers. Oh, that'd be great as the baddie. And you just go, yeah, well, they've just played that kind of role in the last and, you know, they would like, their actors, they would like to do something different.
I can see here that it is Aramade. Oh, brilliant.
Aramade.
What's your view on accents? Are CDS producers looking for, so casting directors, producers looking for authentic accents now? Is there any point stating what we can do on Spotlight? This is a great question.
Yeah.
Probably actually the last one that we'll get to do as we're coming to the end already. I mean, it could go on for days, but...
yeah, I mean, accents are important on Outlander. You know, we have Scottish. Most of them are Scottish, but we have Irish playing Scottish. We have English playing Scottish. We don't have so if you authentically can do an accent other than your own, do put it out on Spotlight, but also keep it up, because sometimes, you know, actors say they can do an American accent, but you've got to keep that up because it will be like an American listening to, a Brit listening to an American trying to do a Cockney accent, and you just go, no. And can I just say about accents, please don't do Southern American accents, because it really, then you start going into Tennessee Williams territory and Americans just go, no. Because they're subtler than you think. And
there's about 10 of them. That's the other thing that people don't know, you know, between Tennessee, Georgia, Louisiana, Kentucky, etc. They're all so, even South Carolina, North Carolina are different accents. They are completely different. South Africa has like not just one, you know, Cape Town is different to Durban, to Johannesburg, to, you know, and it's so just, I love that advice. Be really specific. Actually, YouTube now is a really good place that you can go and get free, you know, you can listen to people doing accents and explaining them. It's a really, really good thing.
Yeah, I remember when British actors were first doing American accents, they would often listen to an actor that they knew, an American actor that they knew, and often they would come in and I was going, that sounds like Christian Slater. You know, have you been listening to Christian?
Yeah, no, it is. It's funny, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah.
Suzanne, that is it. That's all we have time for.
Okay, that was great. That was fun. I hope everybody found it interesting. So.
Absolutely. You've got the thank yous here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you from Christopher and so on and so forth. More thank yous will come in, no doubt. Suzanne, it has been absolutely wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for your time. We know you're busy, so really, really thank you for this. I'm going to take you out of the live stream, but please
don't
go anywhere. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay.
There we are. What a wonderful hour. Thank you so much to Suzanne. I hope you all enjoyed that. It was absolutely lovely to have her here today. And I know that you guys love these chats that we do with other casting directors, because it is, I think it is one of those things that you need to hear time and time again. We're on your side, but then it's also great to be learning from these casting directors about what it is, that last 5%, how they like things done. So I hope you're taking notes. I hope you're paying attention. At 3 o'clock, we have yoga for performers with the wonderful Carrie Ann. Please come back for that. She's wonderful. And then we have an evening session at 6:15 with Mina Barber here with us. So another Q&A there. Thank you again to Suzanne. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you again